Ever since I was younger, I was into video games.
Somebody like the Fuse so I can bring bad news to all these crews who can't NBA jam with the shoe.
Everybody, welcome back to a quick beer review. Going back out to Alpine, McIlhenney Brewing. I'm fired up for this. I've heard good things about this beer, and they just canned it, and so I bought some. Paid it and bought it. This is all gas, no brakes, and this beer has a whole mess of hops in it. Reading this label is insanity, and it is per the label. 6.5% alcohol by volume. This light is making this glossy paper shiny. Hops. You guys ready for this? Sit down and grab a beer. Simcoe, Nectaron, Dynaboost Citra, Superdelic, Cryo Nelson, Cryo Raraca, Cryo Nectaron, and Cryo Superdelic. Two-row Carafoam and Golden Promise grains. It says featuring hops by NZH and Yakima Chief. 6.5%. It says keep cold, McIlhenney Brewing. Canned on, it says all gas, August 26th, I think is what that says. So 4 days in the can, time of recording. The McIlhenney guys, I say this every time I review one of their beers because some people still aren't familiar. They're the original owners of Alpine. The original Alpine, best hoppy brewery as far as West Coast beers go, ever. And I will fight everyone. Pure hoppiness, Duet, Exponential Hoppiness, Nelson, all those beers back in the day just absolutely blew my mind and really got me into like San Diego craft beer. So I'm super stoked that they're back at the old spot brewing beer again. It's been a couple years, but we've got to drink a bunch of their beer and it's been fantastic. So I'm really, really excited for this beer. This beer is like a golden sunshine color. It's a little bit darker than the new school West Coast IPAs. Probably looks really dark on camera, but finger of bright white head. It is sudsy. There's a good amount of like champagne effervescence I can see in the glass. I still don't have McIlhenney glassware though. It's the only problem. We're setting ourselves up for failure. I'm actually zero worried about this beer. Let's smell it. This, fuck. Like it is just so intensely aromatic, but you cannot figure out what you're smelling. So it's super dank. It's very West Coast. It's catty, it's earthy. But there's plenty of citrus, and there's a lot of tropical fruits. But this is more like along the lines of like dank tropical fruit. This doesn't smell sweet or candied to me. Like a lot of the new school West Coast IPAs, they'll smell like Starbursty or Skittles or whatever, that kind of candy. This doesn't smell candy. This smells like dank pop juice. There's a little bit of resin in there too. But yeah, it's like pineapple-y, stone fruity, citrusy. But a good amount of like catty, almost like lemon zest. Fuck, I could sit here and just smell this forever. Like it's impossible to, like there's so much going on. You talk about like a 6.5% IPA and people talk about how barrel-aged stouts are very complex. Like the nose of this, there's so much going on. It's crazy. Let's go and taste it. Cheers. I always say it first beer of the week. I want to chug that. It's Friday night, like it's a holiday weekend. I don't know when this is going to upload, but holy smokes, that is good. There is like that classic Alpine bitterness right on the middle of your tongue. Does it? Do they still put IBUs on? No, it just shows the alcohol. Yeah, it just shows the ABV. I'm guessing this is a fairly high IBU beer. It's bitter. I think Duet was like Simcoe and Amarillo maybe. This kind of gives off that vibe. It's very like catty earthy on the front of your tongue. And that like lemon zest we were smelling, it kind of hits you on the front of your palate. As it goes across, it's fruity. It's like apricot-y kind of, maybe peachy, a little bit of like pineapple maybe. It's like a kind of nondescript tropical. It's just like it tastes fruity. And then that bitterness just smacks you right in the middle of your tongue. It's super fucking like zesty, pithy, like citrus oily. Like it's either lemon or like, you know, crazy bitter grapefruit. And then there's like a nice sweetness on the finish. But the bitterness of this has lingered on my tongue the entire time I'm talking. So the people who seem to complain about West Coast, new school West Coast IPAs these days about being too fruity and not like old school enough, not bitter enough. This has plenty of bitterness. This is the beer that you want. This is fucking awesome. It's just clean. It's bright. I mean, it's super fresh. It's 4 days in the can. But it gives you like just a tiny bit, like it's not like piney or like floral, but it gives you like that old school, just nostalgia with all that bitterness on the middle of your tongue. I love it. So yeah, for all you dudes who are upset at new school West Coast IPAs for being too fruity, this is the beer that you want, and you want to buy cases of it. I mean, I don't know if you're stoked on the 6.5%. I love that because we're hashtag Team Low ABV, but this is, I mean, this is world-class West Coast IPA right here. I mean, fuck, it's fantastic. So clean, so dry. Like, I drank half of the fucking thing that we poured. It's delicious. So, that's All Gas, No Brakes from McIlhenney. That's 2 in a row that have been fuego. We had this, and then we also had Nothing But Nelson. And for whatever reason, YouTube messed that video up, and it never uploaded into higher def. It's just standard def. Looks like fucking when I used to watch football in 2003. So, anyways, if you guys have had this, let's talk about it. If not, seek this beer out. It is worth your time. This is fan-freaking-tastic. So, that is it. Appreciate you guys watching. See you soon. Cheers.
Thank you for coming behind the bar, in the arcade, all that shit.
Ever since I was younger, I was into video games.
Somebody like the fuse so I can bring bad news to all these crews who can't NBA jam with the shoe.